Hi guys, how's it going? Thank you so much for tuning in to my channel. I'm Dr. Linz, and today we are going to go over something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is birth control and how it can affect our gut. But before I get into it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss a helpful little tip. Do not get it twisted. I am not shaming anyone who is on birth control or choosing to do that. That is your own choice. I am just here to educate and also share my experiences. Okay, so things that I have heard just chatting with other ladies and things I've experienced as well as things like getting bloated all the time. So literally no matter what kind of meal we eat, we feel super bloated. Maybe we have increased bowel movements or decreased bowel movements. And then also I've heard people tell me, and I've experienced this as well, as increased food sensitivity. So the foods that start to upset our stomach increases and increases and increases, and we can't figure out what is going on. So here's a little scenario that actually happens to be moi with birth control. When I was a kid, I had bad gut health as it was. Looking back, I look back and I say, okay, I did have some gut issues. I had painful bloating as a kid. I'd go to the doctor, they'd be like, she's constipated, take laxatives, help her go to the bathroom. Let's move on to my teenage years when I started to get my period and my period started to get bad. What did my mom and I do? We went to the doctor and the doctor put me on birth control to control my heavy bleeding, my menstrual cramping, me missing school, feeling nauseated. I got on birth control to fix my hormones, to fix my periods. And I just want to make this clear, my mom and I did not know anything that we know now about birth control when I was put on that. It's a common misconception that birth control actually fixes our periods or fixes our hormones. What birth control does is synthetically controls our hormones. So in a fake way, this is going to modify how our hormones function. So our body is no longer functioning as it should or could naturally. We're using birth control to control these hormones. So this really is like putting a band-aid over the problems that I was having, and I never got into the root cause of why was I having bad menstrual cramps, why was I having heavy bleeding, and a lot of that was due to an imbalance of hormones at such a young age, and I find this to be super common. So that is kind of another topic in and of itself, and maybe that's another video I can create is, how can we help our hormones when we're younger and then into adulthood, even though that pretty much remains the same. But this is kind of going to relate to this a little bit when we dive into the gut and what can happen as we've been on birth control for long periods of time. I'm going to go over 4 common things in relation to our gut, and then at the end here, I'm going to go into briefly how we can help ourselves, and I have some resources for y'all as well. So the first one, I swear to goodness, I talk about all of the time, and I swear to goodness, this is what I had going on, and I'll explain to you why I think that here in a moment. But number 1 is that leaky gut. So gut hyperpermeability just is a fancy word for leaky gut. And it is what it sounds like. It's our gut lining is no longer has tight junctions. It's not healed and sealed. It's inflamed, separated, and toxins, pathogens, undigested proteins can literally leak through that gut lining and go into the bloodstream. And if you can imagine that unwanted stuff getting through the gut lining, our body does not like that. Our body doesn't like that. Okay, so this can chronically lead to autoimmune diseases. And I would personally say less chronically, this can lead to food sensitivities and just unexplained things happening with our immune system because our immune cells start to attack everything essentially. So for me, with the leaky gut, I had peeling nails. So my nails were really brittle, they would not grow. I had little indents in them. That's a sign that my body, my gut was not absorbing the micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals from the food I was eating. And so that was showing through my nails. So for me, I did have some food sensitivities going on. The common one for me is wheat and gluten and low quality dairy. And then I also had peeling nails and little indents in my nails, which led me to believe that my gut lining was not intact and healthy, because one of the roles of our gut lining there lies in to absorb the micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals in our food. Mind-blowing. So it's very important to keep our gut lining intact, nice and healthy, and not inflamed. All right, number 2 and 3 common things that we can see happen when we're on birth control is 1, an increase in yeast infections, and then number 2, gut dysbiosis, or an imbalance of good and bad gut bacteria, and or a decrease in gut bacteria diversity, because we have different gut bugs that do different things and express different things for our body. So being on birth control for long periods of time can cause more yeast infections, and then also create an imbalance of good and bad bacteria, which, as you can imagine, is no bueno. We want to have that good bacteria flourishing. And number 4, being on birth control for long periods of time can affect our gut motility, which means our gut movement, to get that waste moving through, if you know what I mean, poop moving through here. It can decrease that or even increase that. Birth control has an impact on our gallbladder and our liver, and if you're in our 21-day gut cycle, you know that our gallbladder and liver are actually super important for our digestive system, for our gut. So if we're having effects on gut motility and our gut health in general, this can make us feel more gassy and bloated. So being super flatulent, which means it's just a fancy word for being gassy, that is a sign of poor gut health. Okay, so those were my top 4 things that can be affected by birth control when it comes to the gut. So we got leaky gut, we have yeast infections, decreased bacterial diversity, and a change in gut motility. So what have I done to help myself? I get this question a lot, and it is an integrative approach. It's not just one thing, trust me, I know, because the first thing I did was started paying attention to my foods. I cleaned up my foods, I decreased inflammatory foods, and we go over all of this in the brand new 21-day gut cycle that I'll link up in the description here. And then also we focus on this in our daily feel good membership, which I'll link up in the description here as well. In the 21-day gut cycle, I literally walk through what I did to help my gut when I got off birth control. The first thing I personally did, like I just said, is I focused on my foods, but that wasn't enough. It really wasn't. I'm not just fibbing to you just to say this. I focused on my foods. There's always more steps that we can take. My gut really needed some rebalancing, some reinoculation. And so what I had to do is add in some good gut supplements. I have a daily gut supplement, which I'll put in the description here. And then I have a gut healer supplement that I will cycle in throughout the year. All of these things, from the foods that I eat, the supplements that I take, the behaviors that I practice, all work together in a relationship to help my gut, which I have found has impacted how I feel during my menstrual cycles, how I feel when I eat nourishing foods, and when I eat fun foods that I like to call, like pizza and things like that. My body is able to adapt a lot better because I am always working on that gut health. All right, guys, so give me a comment below. Have you experienced these kinds of things? Did this help you? Do you have any questions? Comment below, give this a like, and I'll put all of the supporting links in the description for you to better help yourself. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day. I love you so much.